Here we go. Yo, what's going on, man? Chia Tamo Halito, all that good stuff. Any language, raw bat, hello, hola, all that. Greetings to everybody. So, this video, I'm gonna need y'all to go ahead and like, subscribe, and share. But what we talking about is Atlantis, Lemuria, and the Moors, right? Or either way you want to flip it. Now, the first thing I want to start off with, right, is the Moors or the Moors. See, they like to do the language game. They like to be like, oh, etymology this, words this, and all this, right? But then they'll do some green shit. They'll see something like, okay, Lemuria. So they must be Moors. See, it says Moor, Muur. Like, that's shit that they do, right? And yesterday, somebody was like, oh, Atlantis, Lemuria, shit like that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give y'all some real history on this shit, right? And the reason I'm giving y'all the real history on Lemuria is because there's something that you all really need to know. And y'all know I'm going to keep it short. So to keep it short, being that I've studied this in detail, right? Here were a few points about Lemuria and Atlantis. Now, there's this book. And the book that people really use to reference it is called Queen Mu and the Egyptian Sphinx, right? And it literally says Maya/Atlantis. But these same Atlanteans are Egyptians. But these same Atlanteans, even though Atlantis is supposed to be in the Atlantic Ocean, the author of the book, Augustus Le Plongeon, says that Lemuria is in the Pacific Ocean by India. So how did it all of a sudden become in the Atlantic Ocean? Or how did Lemuria and Atlantis or Atlantis and Lemuria become two different places? This is because niggas be creating and confusing shit because they don't read everything in full, right? They couldn't have read this book. So the thing about this is, right, before we even, and I asked this question yesterday, I said, well, Atlantis and Lemuria both got Greco-Roman suffixes. What was the indigenous term or an indigenous term for this land? See, the reason nobody answered that is because once they get Lemuria, they have to take that off and it literally becomes Kumari Kingdom. Kumari Kingdom was the original term for the place that we're calling Lemuria in the Pacific Ocean. But this same place where they claim this land is already on the map in 1896, which y'all know Helen Blavatsky, the Satanists, right? They're the people that were bringing this shit up. So in 1896, there was this map, but Lemuria literally was drawn over India. So it was already drawn over a continent and they tried to superimpose this on people who couldn't fund trips to actually go see what was going on, right? So with that being said, and you go back to the book Queen Mu and the Egyptian Sphinx, the guy says this symbol right here, right? And he called it like a tower. You say this symbol right here is the sign for the M, right? And this M is the same sound in the Egyptian hieroglyphs. And he was wrong. See, what I'm going to do is when I make the video, I'm going to post what he says in the book, and I'm going to post the phonetic value and what symbol it actually is. You see, this book literally was written to confuse people. These people everybody had lost continent theories, because what we have to remember is as melanated people, we've always been out here. It was them that were new to this land. So when they were new here and they've been out for 2,000-3,000 years, 4,000 years, they feel like this is the old world. Yeah, this is our old world, but it's not the Africans' old world. They have their own things. But let's get back to the point, right? So now here's the dagger of them all, right? What this guy's saying is he's like, oh well, the Mayans went to Egypt and taught the Egyptians. But America is Egypt. So if America is Egypt, how did we go to Africa to teach the Egyptians? Oh well, there are Egyptian artifacts here. So you telling me that it's not possible that the Egyptians traveled here? But it's more possible that we went over there and took everything over there and then came back with nothing. Or just a little bit of what we left with. We got to make this shit make sense. So now, again, when you dealing with Lemuria, right? They talk about the 7 root races or the different root races. Now, the Lemuria or the Kumari, right? These explanations were given by Madame Blavatsky. So she claims that they were the 3rd root race. And she claims that they were hermaphrodites, that they laid eggs, and that they were undeveloped, but spiritually more pure than the following root races, right? And she has this book, and she say that there was a book passed down from Gandhi which speaks on the same thing. But we already know how Gandhi felt about dark-skinned people. So this is what we're gonna do, right? It's a quote. It says, in 1896, he published the story of Atlantis. They're talking about I'm thinking they're talking about William Scott Elliott. He's the one who had the map. It says, followed in 1904 by the Lost Lemuria, in which he included a map of the continent Lemuria as stretching from the east coast of Africa across the Indian and Pacific Oceans. Wait, so if Lemuria is stretching across the Indian and Pacific Oceans, right? This is Mu, right? Why do niggas bring the lands or separate them? Why is there no real understanding of what's going on? Like, for to tell you out, here we go. So it says James Branwell, right? Says portrayed Lemuria in his book Lost Atlantis as a continent that occupied a large part of what is now the South Pacific Ocean. He described the people of Lemuria in detail and characterized them as one of the root races of humanity. Here we go again. You hear the root races of humanity. According to Barnwell, Lemurians were the ancestors of the Atlanteans. Now, wait, remember, he's saying something different than the person that wrote the book. So here goes the confusion, right? He said they were the ancestors of the Atlanteans who survived the period of the Great Racial Decadence, which affected the Lemurians in the last stages of their evolution. From a select division, the Atlanteans, after their promotion to decadence, Bramwell claims the Aryan race arose. Lemurians, Atlanteans, and Aryans are the root races of humanity, according to Bramwell. So the 3 root races are the Lemurians, the Atlanteans, and the Caucasians. Literally, what these people are. These people, see, the Aryans, we know the real Aryans are the Indians, right? The Indo-Indian, the real Indians that's over there, right? But y'all will let these crackers tell y'all that, oh, well, the 3 root races are the Lemurians, the Atlanteans, and the Aryans. So y'all really believe that the Aryan is older than the African? We're talking about the sun, the Khoi, the Kui. You mean to tell me that the Aryan is older than the Hichiti speaking peoples? But this is what, see, niggas will say Atlantis, 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 Lemuria, 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 but they've never studied anything like this, right? They've never studied anything like this. So Here we go. It says Blavatsky theorized that Australia was a remnant island, a remnant island region of Lemuria, and that Aboriginal Australians and Aboriginal Tasmanians were of Lemurian and Lumero-Atlantean origin after crossbreeding with animals. Listen to this. This is how she felt about the Aboriginal Australians. Her idea was subsequently developed into pseudo histories in fiction of the white Australian popular culture in the 1890s and early 1900s, including the writings of the national Australian poet Bernard O'Dowell. Oh my God, we're talking about real racists, bro. So, all right, here we go. Right, it says, oh God. So now they're talking about the creation of a lineage for white settlers, right? But that's literally all this was about. Now, they're also talking about like Mount Shasta was a part of it, right? But we're not gonna go there. Now, this is the dagger of it all. When we talk about Atlantis, Lemuria, and all that shit, right? Like James Church Ward, remember this is the land of Mu. So I'm giving you all these terms, but can't one person show you an indigenous person speaking on this? They take the story back to the Greeks, and then the Greeks claim they got the story from the Egyptians. The Egyptians claim, well, we got the story from the Nubians. Okay, if y'all got the story from the Nubians, what did that have to do with the Hichiti speaking people? What did it have to do with the Mushika? What does that have to do with the Mayans? Because many of the Mayans spoke dialects of Hichiti. See, nobody ever read Queen Mu and the Egyptian Sphinx. Nobody studies Madame Blavatsky, right? Nobody looks up Gandhi, right? Mahatma Gandhi. This is simple. It's easy, right? Nobody knows who James Churchward is. No one really knows that the Lumerians were hermaphrodites. They lay eggs. But these same people were the same people they claim who may have been Lumerians are the Aboriginal Australian, Aboriginal Tasmanian. But these same people say, yeah, they Lumerian, Atlantean, crossbreed, but they fucked animals. They crossbred with animals. That's why they look like that. These same people said that the Aryans were the third root race. But Lemuria, Morocco, Moors, mound builders. Come on, bro. Y'all fucking with the wrong person. See, William Scott Elliott, another name. Y'all really messing with the wrong person. Y'all don't know about this. See, first Lemuria and Atlantis was supposed to be the same land. Then it became, oh, well, one is on this side, one is on this side. Then it became, well, yeah, one was on this side, one was on this side, but they also had white people too. You're not gonna beat me if you're not gonna win if you don't read. Trust me, you're really not gonna win if you don't read. So what I need y'all to do is go back, like, share, subscribe, and we finna continue on this. This topic gonna be our topic for the week.